Yield Guild Games has added a new set of fun play-to-earn games to its roster of partners. With each newly acquired in-game asset, more players are given the opportunity to earn real-world rewards from engaging gameplay, ranging in genre from farming and battle simulation games like Mafia, Civitas, and Castle Crush, to Move to Earn with Walk-In, competitive third-person shooters like Metalcore and Nyan Heroes, and of course, Tatsu Miko, an MMORPG playable on Discord. This new assortment of games will cater to the YGG community's wide spectrum of preferences as soon as they launch. And to talk more about our strategy on which games we decide to partner with, we've got YGG's head of acquisitions, Jeff Holmberg, to tell us more.
Sedano, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Jeff Holmberg. I am head of asset acquisition here at YGG. I am one of the main soldiers on the front lines of when we are looking for new gaming assets, new games to get some skin in the game with, no pun intended. But yeah, really excited here to be here with you, Sedano. We had some really, really awesome updates that happened through the course of June, which has been very exciting. I think everyone out there has known that there's one particular game that even I've been playing that I'm a little bit addicted to, called Fancy Birds. This was one of our latest partners that we did do in June. And I think the exciting thing about this is, especially when I jump in and play these games by myself, is I get the opportunity to really go through the whole UI UX process and essentially test this out. And I think, behind the scenes, I'm sure I'll drop like a lot of alpha here over time, is I was able to work with the Fancy Birds team to actually give some insights, input on design, UX for their rental model, their scholarship model, personally, which I think is arguably #1 in the entire space from what I've seen so far. The absolute fluid nature of being able to purchase birds, rent out your birds. Now they've actually upgraded to needing to feed your birds, which is a nice token sync, which I think will help the FNC token. It's just very fluid and exciting. And I think in particular, this game I've been playing, I've been addicted. Be careful if you pick up your mobile phone with Fancy Birds. You will get addicted and you will be unproductive. I'm sure Gabby is loving me saying this right now on this TV, but there we are with that. But, outside of Fancy Birds, we just had a whole ton of other titles. There is some that I did want to single out, in particular. I think one is Tatsu Miku. It's absolutely a fascinating game. I think the interesting thing here is talking about UX. You see a pattern that I'm going to get to in a second here, is it's actually run through Discord. And, when I was talking with founder David Lim about this, obviously with Discord being a North American entity, I was really concerned about legal barriers, right? There's a lot of cloudy crypto regulations that specifically are happening, right now here in the States. And, we really want to go through it and say, having crypto elements involved in this game, is there a potential to get this shut down? Could it create some roadblocks for you? And I thought it was just so fascinating on the technology that they were using, where you can actually do the gameplay inside of Discord, right? And there's actually, of course, a website that you go that does have the crypto elements attached to it. And I think this type of mobile experience and accessibility, specifically, that can target even Web 2 players for ease of access and experimenting, it's just going to be a massive thing going forward. I think a lot of people, when you look at YGG Porcos, you'll see that a good majority of them do have mobile access or are currently in the stage of having that mobile access. But when we first spoke to Tatsu, I call it Tatsu, we'll call it Tatsu Miko, the full title. When I first spoke to them, I thought this was a really intriguing asset for a lot of players around the world. I think it's, there are some barriers in more general crypto elements, learning how to get a wallet, or maybe getting assigned a wallet, understanding how to use your wallet, how to even purchase an asset or deploy an asset. Of course, we have systems there with our scholars where we can set that up for people. But I think in this element, it's very important to also target Web 2 players, which I'm going to kind of go off topic a little bit from the games for a second, because I do want to touch upon this today. Is where I feel games should be headed towards. And this is the kind of $1 million question that people have been asking me. Is a lot of these Web3 games have been broken lately. There's been a lot of downfall, a lot of destruction even for some games that have really put pure economics first or DeFi yields first. What is the direction in really trying to pace together Web3 gaming so that it can scale at a great capacity, find that ultra growth that people want in their games, get more players. And the $1 million question is, how do you bridge Web 2 players into Web 3 access? And there's been a lot of discussions that we've had on this at NFT NYC, and I definitely want to touch upon this for a few seconds or so. But one thing is being able to market to Web 2 players. I think understanding the UX, and this is why I brought UX as kind of like the main topic here. In ease of access, in being able to be comfortable and just going in and playing the game and just trying the game. And there's been arguments to say, well, should we hide blockchain in the background? Should we, push blockchain right in the front end, in the foreground here? I'm kind of in the middle of that, right? I think, blockchain initiatives, NFTs, ownership, a lot of the perks that you hear being very redundant in a lot of speeches and a lot of people talking about Web3 gaming, they should be complementary to the actual gaming experience, right? And I think one word that, should be touched upon when we think about like kind of bridge from Web 2 to Web 3 gaming is psychology, right? A lot of people talk about the psychology of Web 2 players, the psychology of Web 3 players. And real quickly, because I know we don't have a ton of time, but I want to break down, what I feel is the psychology of both. I think starting with Web 3, there has been a lot of conditioning for players to expect very high yields, very high earning rates. We've seen this with a lot of boom in, other guilds being formed, specifically in Q3 of Q4 of last year. And it's just been blossoming even more now than ever that have more of an ROI focus. So I think, outside of YGG, like we've seen guilds, we've seen players, we've seen Web3 marketing kind of go towards the more economic route, this DeFi initiative route, super high, degenerate yields that you can see that have been used as marketing campaigns in some entities. And what it has done is it's conditioned the Web3 player to expect this, right? The psychology of this is when I go into a game, I'm not really going to measure the entertainment value of the game. I'm going to measure it by how much money I'm earning. And I think, kind of reversing those steps is going to be a pretty important issue, for Q3 and going forward, especially in 2022. Now, I think like when you talk about the psychology of like Web 2 players, I can go over, flip on my PlayStation, flip on a console, turn on my PC, play a TCG. I can do everything very, very quickly, right? There's really not a lot of clunkiness. There's not too much education that I need to learn on the tech side. It's really kind of jumping in and just going to play those games, right? And so I think as, coming back to meeting in the middle here with some of the new portcos that we do have, specifically in the month of June, really check that box and helping out that player in ease of use from the UX scenario and coming in and saying, listen, I just want to play the game. I want to have fun first. I'm not going to be fully incentivized by just the monetary policies in the game, the yields in the game. I want to actually give this a go because it looks like something that's going to provide entertainment value to me. And then, the last point that I wanted to touch upon, entertainment value in general, right? Talking about Web3 gaming and a lot of the direction of where we're going for YGG games in the future is talking about switching those elements back and forth for entertainment value. I think, the Web2 players have been conditioned to think of spending money almost as a lost cause, right? I'm also a big Apex Legends player. A lot of people hear me say that in chats, and I spent a ton of money in Apex Legends for weapon skins, my player skins, right? Bloodhound main. and battle passes, of course. And I don't expect any type of monetary ROI on that, but I do it for a pure entertainment value, a pure flex value from that. And it's become a habit, right? And I think that's a pretty powerful word that has been tossed around lately as well. And trying to understand, again, the psychology of Web2 players coming in here is forming these habits of growth, wanting to build your characters, wanting to accelerate in the games, and not expecting any of that economic value, right? So you see that there's, zero economic value in the Web2 games, right? At least from like an ROI ratio for live capital. And then Web3, there's just really, the seesaw is really kind of tilted down towards heavy economic initiatives. And I think if we balance that and really start focusing on entertainment first, fun first, while having complementary things such as, earnings, tokens, NFT skins, rewards, things of that nature, is where I think it's going to be really attractive, where Web3 and Web2 really come together, rather than it being a little bit more oil and water right now in gaming.